Hello, my name is Sophia. I'm an international luxury property finder and realtor in Italy, and I specialize in finding luxury properties for high net worth clients. Hello, welcome back. Today I will walk you through the real costs you need to consider before making an offer. Buying a property in Italy is not complicated, but it is different. Most international buyers focus on the purchase price, but that's only one part of the investment. Today, I will walk you through the real costs you need to consider before making an offer. So, let's start with what you already know. Once your offer is accepted, you will need to place a deposit. The deposit is usually between 10 and 30% of the purchase price. The deposit secures the property and it formalizes your commitment. Now let's talk about agency fees. In Italy, agency fees work differently. Both buyer and seller are typically represented. As a buyer, you should expect 3 to 6% plus VAT for the commission. Of course, the commission for the agency is agreed in advance, and it is an important part of the structure. Now let's talk about technical due diligence or due diligence in general. This is where Italy becomes very specific. Before completing the purchase, you need a technical survey. An independent surveyor verifies that the property matches the cadastral plans and that all structures are legally approved, and also that there are no irregularities. This step is essential in order to resell the property in the future. These costs for a technical survey range between 5,000 and 20,000 euros, depending on the property you are going to buy. Now, in Italy, the notary is central to the transaction. The notary is a public official. They ensure the legality of the sale, the correct transfer of ownership, and they often manage the escrow process. You should expect between 5,000 and 10,000 euros for the notary fee. Sometimes this can be even more for very complex structures. Now let's talk about the translation of the notary deed. If you do not speak fluently Italian, you are required to find an interpreter who can translate the deed, because the final deed must be clearly understood before you sign it. Of course, this includes a certified translation and an interpreter who is present at signing. The costs for an interpreter range between 2,000 and 3,000 euros, also depending on the complexity of the notary deed. Of course, there are taxes to be paid when you buy a property in Italy, especially if you buy this property as a second home. So you have to pay second home tax. In Italian, this is called IMU. The IMU is an annual property tax for second homes. But here's the key detail. So this tax is calculated on the cadastral value and not on the real purchase price. For luxury buyers, this is often more favorable than expected. If you finance part of the purchase price with a bank, additional costs apply. These costs can be bank fees, insurance fee, and property valuation. Also, these costs depend on the structure. So what does this mean in total? Beyond the purchase price, you should expect 8 to 12% additional costs, which include agency fees, technical survey costs, notary fees, translation fees, and associated expenses. Buying in Italy is not about finding only the right property. It is also about understanding the structure behind the transaction, because clarity creates leverage. And the best acquisitions are always made from a position of control. So if you are considering buying a property in Forte dei Marmi, Versilia or Northern Tuscany, I work with a select number of international buyers to guide them through this process discreetly.